Hey everyone, it's Luke here from Astro Awakening, and this is my Scorpio New Moon update for you guys. This is going to be a pretty big month. Probably say that every month, but literally as I started 2021 and I was looking ahead month by month at the astrology, I sort of got to this new moon and this month ahead as one of extreme change. But welcome change, especially for those of us that are on the path doing the work, not buying into the bullshit. And we're looking for the change, right? So there'll be a lot of things that come to light, a lot of things that are being concealed or hidden, and a lot of the ways in which, information in general has been sort of kept from us. So I think a lot of that's going to start to come to light. And as it does, it's going to cause this desire and need for freedom, change, upheaval, rebellion, liberation. So yeah, it's going to be a pretty intense month. My job in this video is to sort of help you navigate personally these energies for the month ahead, as well as look at collectively and what we can expect on a bigger scale. So let's dive into the chart and get into today's video. So here it is, 12 degrees Scorpio. If you are following along at home and you know where your degrees are of your chart, you want to check for 12 degrees at any fixed sign. That'd be Scorpio, Aquarius, Taurus, or Leo. So 12 degrees, anything in 12 degrees of that sign, this is going to be a pretty significant moon for you. Having said that, it's Scorpio season, so we're all going to have a little taste of Scorpio energy. So look to the Scorpio area of your chart. What part of your chart does Scorpio sort of sit in? And that'll give you a more personal sort of understanding of what are the likely areas of your life that are going to be stimulated by this process of transmutation, transformation, things coming to light, secrets being revealed, struggles with power and money and sex and, the merging of yourself with others, the relationship between yourself and, your loved ones and your partnerships. So that's really going to be highlighted this month. So yeah, the 12th degree, right? And the Sabian symbol for the 12th degree is an inventor conducting an experiment, right? And it's sort of like how do things all sort of, or showing how all things are connected, right? So showing how all things are connected. So that could be the revelation here, is that there's a lot that everything is connected. Of course, we're all one consciousness, right? But the experiment, the inventor conducting experiment, sorry, that sort of like leads you to think like, are we just in one big experiment here? Are they experimenting on humanity, on society, on culture, on consciousness, on humans? I know if you follow me and my channel and the work that I do, then, that's not too far of a stretch to sort of look at this and go, that's exactly what's happening here. In fact, with the current inoculation that's being touted as the saving grace to the planned fucking demonic is experimental. It's in an experimental phase. It has not passed its testing. Okay, so it's interesting that this new moon sits at the degree of Scorpio, which the Sabian symbol, and if you're not familiar with what a Sabian symbol is, it's S-A-B-I-A-N, Sabian. I suggest you go and look up, but there are 360 degrees of the zodiac. There are 360 Sabian symbols, and each one has a sort of pictorial image that's associated with it that helps you understand a little bit of the degree, because every sort of degree is subtly different from the next, especially from one sign to the next, but also within the particular sign. So yeah, it's really interesting. When I was looking up the Sabian symbol for this one, I was like, an inventor conducting an experiment. Okay, how's that playing out in our lives? But it brings into the theme of this new moon, which is transmutation. To transmute things, to alchemize things, right? To take things and strip away the gross to get the purity. Transmutation of emotional energy. Scorpio is a fixed sign of water. So water relates specifically to emotional energy, and the fixity is the intensity of emotions, right? We can just hold an emotional energy, right? Scorpio people in general are really good at holding on to emotions. Like, if you're disloyal or you cross them in some ways, that they can really sort of, the surface level of the Scorpio is just like, they're ice cold and they're just playing it cool, but on that deep inner pool within, they're like, motherfucker, I'm gonna get you. You wait till you go to sleep. Why don't you just go to sleep at night? Yeah, this. Scorpio being the dark sign of the zodiac too. So it's all about like, why don't you go to sleep? Yeah. Because why? Because they're holding on to this sort of intense emotional energy, right? So to transmute emotional energy is to take a feeling and to use that as a motivator for change or for action, right? Often, though, it's done on an unconscious level, and we take anger and it causes the action, which creates what? Destruction. And then we're left with the consequences, whether they're physical, actual, or karmic, the consequences of that. So when we consciously use transmutation process, we can take that, damn, I'm pissed off, and we can transmute that into a creative passion. We can transmute that into action that drives, you know what? I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm going to get off my ass and I'm going to fucking run because I'm sick of the clothes not fucking fitting me, right? I'm just using it as an example, right? So you're having that frustration or that anger or whatever that emotion is, and it drives action because you've transmuted it. You've used that as a stimulator, a motivator to drive, the thing that causes change and transformation. And that's the thing, like emotional energy is the driving force that's behind action. You've all done things before with no passion. I guess at certain points in our lives, especially adults, we've been in maybe work situations or even in relationships where we've just gone through the process. It's like going in and checking in and doing the job and you go home and you check out. There's no emotional energy there. There's no passion. There's no drive, right? So it's really hard to be motivated in those situations because there's nothing motivating. Well, with Scorpio energy, it's like using the emotions, right? Using the feeling. And usually it's one, sometimes it's more than one, but it's this fixation on this energy or this emotion that we can really use as an extreme force behind action. And Scorpio people in general, and those with a lot of Scorpio energy, are fantastic manifestors. They have an extreme drive, to see things through to the end, an extreme amount of stamina, and they're really resourceful people, right? Really resourceful. In other words, they can sort of pull on their inner resources to just get the job done or to just push through it or to achieve. They have a tendency, obviously it's opposite Taurus energy. So often the fixation with power and things like that is not only coming from a sexual place, but it can also come from a monetary place, finance. So they're really they're focused on possessing and accumulating wealth and things like that. So in your own life, though, it's about what am I feeling? What am I hanging on to as a feeling? Is it a feeling of helplessness? That's like, how could they do this? And this feeling of like, there's nothing that you can do. So you've got to be able to transmute that energy into personal positive action that creates change. Often with Scorpio season, because we're in Scorpio and it's the sign of death, right? So it's the sign of death, right? Depth, death, dying, the eighth house associated with death in general, and all the themes surrounding like the death in process. And and here's the classic example, those taboo things. Taboos, like those things, don't talk about those things. We don't talk about sex at the dinner table. We don't talk about death. It's a very taboo subject, and we certainly don't talk about money and things like that either. They're taboo. We keep them to ourselves. Death in particular, and Western culture's inability to confront and have a conversation around that and the meaning of life and death and what happens at the process of death, and our fear of it, and our how we don't go there. We keep it like like you can't talk about that. I think that's one of the main reasons or causes behind this diabolical situation that society's in at the moment, is our unwillingness to look at death as a process of life. Death as a teacher, death as a transformation. If we are consciousness and consciousness is energy, or what stimulates consciousness is energy, then energy cannot die, it can only be transformed. So if you are not necessarily your physical body, you have one. You're not your thoughts, you have thoughts. You're not your feelings, you have feelings. So what are you? You're the consciousness experiencing these things. So if you are that consciousness, or if you are experiencing reality through consciousness, and consciousness is basically energy, then energy doesn't die, it only transforms. So the end of your life, but sure, it may be the end of your physical form, but remember, you're not your form, you're not your body. You are the consciousness that experiences that. So therefore, consciousness can't die, can only be transformed. So we have got to look at death as that sort of transformation. And littered through Hollywood, right, and movies and that type of popular culture is little subtle clues and keys to, like, you know, like the death of the body isn't it, and we continue on after this, and maybe we don't do in physical form, but consciousness does, and you are consciousness. So, you know, I just always refer to Star Wars movies, and you go and listen to Luke Skywalker in the last 3 Star Wars. If you haven't watched the last 3 Star Wars, I mean, I plug this a lot, but if you haven't watched the last 3 Star Wars, get on board that now, because it really helps you understand symbolically what's happening now in reality and where we're at in this sort of phase of transmutation, transformation. You know, I met someone recently, and they said, and I had sort of had this belief but never really articulated it this way, but she said, if you want to know what's happening in reality, watch the movies. If you want the propaganda, watch the news. And I was just like, wow, that is so accurate. How many times have you watched a movie or maybe rewatched an old movie, and you're like, holy shit, that's like what's happening now in the world? And it's sort of like, is it predictive programming, or is it just like, you know, is it just like coincidental? Who knows? Is there intent behind it? I mean, we are talking about holy wood, the holy wood, which was the wood that they used as the magician's wand, right? So are they predicting with Hollywood, or are they actually creating magic? So in other words, they're driving reality based on the movies. The propaganda, right, which is the propagandist arm of the government and big corporations and those sort of nefarious elites, is the media. That's used as a tool of propaganda. We watch the media like religiously, and I say we, I mean collectively, not me, fucking not for a long time. And occasionally I do, and I have to take a cold fucking shower afterwards. We as a collective, we watch the media as if we have to know what's happening, but it's propaganda. It's pure propaganda. And more so now, more than ever, we watch the media and we're like, we're not getting the full story. We're getting this what they want us to think, what they want us to see. We're not getting what's actually happening. And this brings me back, because again, tangent, but here we are back at Scorpio, and this new moon is directly opposite Uranus. And Uranus is about revelation, revealing, rebellion, freedom, and liberty. It's about individualism. It's about the lightning strike that sort of creates the shift. There's this, you know, and you can feel this tension at the moment. There's this society is just getting to this point, like, what the fuck is going on? Like, why aren't people waking up? And what's, you know, and Uranus is the type of lightning bolt that comes through that creates the sudden change or reveals things. And all of a sudden there's a shift that happens. Do not look to the media or the government to reveal what is happening truthfully on the ground. Look to the people on the ground. Look to the people that are being silenced. Look to the people that are being ostracized. Look to the people that are risking their livelihoods, risking their lives in some cases, to stand up and stand out. And I said this about 6 months ago. I said, wait till the people in police, in the health system, in the education system, wait till they start speaking up and speaking out. Well, guess what? It was only a couple of days ago, and I shared it on my social media platform, that the nurses in South Australia, and one particular lady, I'd love to know her name, she so eloquently and elegantly and precisely articulated in a very short 7-minute little sort of snippet exactly what the fuck is going on the ground level from the people. You know, this awakening process of consciousness is always going to come from the people. The change that we want to see in this world is always going to come from the people. It's not going to come from the government. It's not going to come from the media. It's not going to come from some shining Trump-like character that's going to come in and be like, hallelujah, I've saved you all. It's not coming from that. It's coming from the people. So look to the people, watch the people. And what's happening is the darkness, the death, the ways in which they are manipulating. Scorpios are really good manipulators, using that emotional energy to get what they want, right? Not saying all Scorpios, don't be triggered, you little Scorpios, don't come at me with your knives. But just, you know, the manipulation that has gone on, the manipulation through the government and the media, they're not telling us the full story. And even when people, high up people, respected people, educated people, doctors, nurses, physicians, police, army, you know, even when they are coming out and saying, what the fuck are we doing? This is killing people. This is killing children. This is killing this is killing healthy people. Nothing wrong having this inoculation and then literally either dying spontaneously or having serious rare illnesses manifest, that the solution to is organ transplantation. I think I said that right. Even then, with all of that, the talking head puppets in the government and the media are still singing from that same song sheet of manipulation and let's look over here and come on, guess what now? Guess what, guys? Remember we told you it was just going to get the vaccine, then it was like get double dosed. Now it's the booster shot that's coming for Christmas. It's coming for Christmas time, and you won't be fully vaxxed anymore unless you've had your boot. At what point do you wake up? Well, for some, they won't, and that's cool. They can walk off the cliff of consciousness into the sea of the abyss, and that's their pathway, and I do not wish to stop them. But for some that are this month is about some of the hard truths, some of the taboos, some of the things we don't want to discuss, some of the ugliness and the difficult and the darkness and the death, some of that shit coming to light. Now, if you're in a state and that comes to light and you reject that, or you dismiss that, or you don't let that open your heart and maybe go, hey, shit, maybe I was wrong here. Maybe those people that have been screaming at me for fucking 2 years now, maybe they're trying to help me. If you're not allowing this information to create that, then you're a fucking imbecile. I'm sorry, but you're an imbecile. Your brain and consciousness aren't connected to your heart, and there's not much going on. You're basically just a program. What else do you need for that process to happen? I can tell you now, you awaken or you walk off that cliff into the abyss. This is the month to do that. This month, I believe, is going to be a little bit of a teaser of 2022. Because in 2022, the South Node moves into Scorpio for 18 months, the North Node in Taurus. We've got this new moon in Scorpio and this Uranus energy in Taurus now. So I think we're going to get a bit of a taste of this month and into December of just what we can expect in 2022. And it's, where have people put their values? What have they valued the most, right? Ultimately, it's going to be the karmic consequences, right? Scorpio holding the South Node, it's going to be the karmic consequences of what people have put their value in. And have they valued material things above their personal health, their soul, their consciousness? Have they valued security? Have they valued the way things were? Let's go back to normal. I just want to eat my chips and go to the footy. Have that where they value being? Well, the consequences of that are going to come through, I believe, as we move into 2022. So use this month, right, to sort of allow that process to unfold, to open you up, to perhaps let go, of, hanging on to something that doesn't have your best interests at heart. Humanity right now is awakening, and we are screaming at you. And now you're going to see that in all these different sectors of, and people are losing their livelihoods and their 30-year careers. They're being told, well, you're not going to follow that, so you don't belong here anymore. I mean, what do people think is going to happen? You know, and good for you out there, those people that are willing to not compromise. Good for you. Courage to you. It takes a lot of strength. It's not easy, but guess what? It's the right thing to do. It's the right thing to do. And that's what people need to decide. What's the right thing to do? Not what the popular thing to do, not what the thing that, you know, Saturn in Aquarius is telling you to do, which is authority. The authority said, well, I got to follow the rules. But when the rules don't have your best interest at heart, and perhaps following the rules is walking off that cliff, then you need to challenge them. And it takes courage and strength. It takes a lot of, you know, it takes a lot of power to do that. Reclaim your power this Scorpio season. Reclaim your power. Mars, the ruler of Scorpio, co-ruler with Pluto, right? Mars is there, it's got your back. Mars is like, okay, I'm fired up. Mars is like, right, you know, I'm going to transmute this emotional energy into action. Mars is the warrior, it's the sword. It's like, let's do this, right? I guarantee you, you cannot look around into this world and wait for others to do it, for someone else to save you, for someone else to come along, for someone else to make it all go away. You have to be the change. This is how it happens, is the people wake up and they stand up and they say no more and they speak out. And even if no one's listening or they try to beat down that, they still do it anyway. And kudos to those that are doing it, been doing it, or about to do it. You know, history will determine your path. And I think that you're on the right side of history. I understand that there's those out there that don't have the strength. I understand that. And if you have been forced against your will, or they've, you know, held certain things of value at ransom, like your career, and you've decided that no, it's not worth it, I understand. But please do one thing this Scorpio season: de-fucking-toxify your body. This day and age, or how are we going to do that? Well, this day and age, you have a thing called the internet. So you have an unlimited resource to be able to tell you how to detoxify. So I'm not going to tell you how you should do that or which type of system you should do, but I'm saying get off your ass, research, right? Especially in a couple of days when Mercury goes into Scorpio, research a way to detoxify. Do a fast, do a cleanse. You can do a juice fast, a water fast, a lemon fast, a fucking, you know, there are so many different ways to do this, but fast and cleanse and detoxify and allow your body a chance to remove anything that's within it that's from that shouldn't be there as best it can. You know, when an animal gets sick, the first thing it does is goes off its food, right? You watch a dog get sick, it won't eat. Why? Because it's got a toxin or a bacteria, or it's got something within it that's causing the illness, and the body says no, right? No more food in. If I feed myself, I'm going to feed that energy, that entity, that toxin, whatever. So stop the food going in, and it allows the body a chance to remove it. And its body's a remarkable thing. You can detoxify from this bullshit poison. Absolutely. So do your research, find a way. And if you're one of those people that have, you know, in that situation, you don't have the strength, I get it. But give your body a chance to do what it does best and to heal. And to do that, the way that I do and the way that I know is to fast, right? So, you know, you can do 3, 5, 7, people can fast for 40 days. I've done personally in my past, I've done lots of little mini fasts. The longest I've done is 7 days without food. So you can do it. It's remarkable for your system. You'll get clarity. Your eyesight will improve. You'll shed weight. You'll get higher connection to your pineal gland, right? So do it, do a cleanse, do a fast. If you're in that category. Let's look at this new moon. We can't get away from the fact that there's this massive opposition to Uranus, and Uranus is in Taurus, and Taurus is a sign that rules over the things of value, possessions, wealth, money, material possessions in particular, those things that we hold as value. And Uranus in opposition to this new moon, we can expect this entire month right through beyond the full moon into the next new moon, quite volatile, quite a lot of shifts and changes. So how do we handle volatility? We remain flexible, right? Remain flexible and open to change. That's it. If things come to light, let go, shift your position. You know, if something changes, right? Imagine a ship on a course to a particular destination, and he plots that course and is like, based on the weather at the time he's plotting the course, he might have some forecasting and look ahead and be, oh yeah, we've got some pretty good weather. This is the course I'm going to take. And halfway along that journey, the weather unexpectedly turns and there's a squall or a storm or rough seas. And he's now saying, okay, if I continue on this course, I'm going to run into the storm. Like I'm going to really, and that's going to be quite challenging. However, with new information now and a change in circumstances, things have come to light, something has changed. The captain of the ship doesn't just keep driving towards the iceberg, right? They make a shift and they'll go, right, now let's plot over this way. If we do, we increase the speed and we can take a different angle. We can go around this, right? It might take a little bit longer in our journey, but all of a sudden we'll get there and we'll be much safer. We'll be unscathed and we won't have to test our ability to move through that fucking challenge. So here's the thing. When things come to light this month, and in your personal life, it could be a revelation, it could be something that was hidden. In your personal relationships, Scorpio, the 8th house has to do with the resources that we share within a relationship, whether it's a relationship to someone we love or whether it's a business partnership. So it's about the resources, the money, the energy, the sex that we share within those partnerships. So sometimes there can be this coming to light, a revealing of something that was hidden or concealed or a secret that comes up that creates this sort of like, oh, wow, okay, well, that's new to me, or I didn't know, right? So there's the storm. So now what do? Do I go straight on into it or do I navigate myself? Do I make a change? The best thing you can do is remain open and flexible. The outer world, like I began this sort of this video today with, the outer world, right? The outer world is secondary to our inner world, right? As within, so without. What's happening out there is a reflection of our inner world. So it's not reacting to it, it's witnessing it, it's observing it. It's like, wow. And if there are things that are happening in that cause the need for change, will be your captain and steer your ship, right? Because if information comes to light and you don't make the change, then you're an imbecile. There's no two ways about it. You're an imbecile. You're either ignorant, you're arrogant, or you're an idiot. In either way, you know you can have the power to make a change, right? Otherwise, you stay stuck like the lab rat. Remember, this is a laboratory experiment. You're a lab rat, man. Just going around the wheel. Often, there's a lot of karma involved in this Scorpio energy. And, I look at karma as like there's behavior here that causes the response here, or the reality here, which reinforces the behavior here, which causes the response here, which reinforces it's a wheel. Karma is a wheel. How do you get off the wheel? Well, first you've got to see it. Okay, all right, there's that pattern again. That's what I'm doing again. Oh, here it is. I get the same. So how do I change that? How do I change my reality? How do I change this thing from repeatedly happening to me? Oh my God. I've got to change my behavior. I've got to change the way I approach it. I've got to change something within. And when you do that, guess what? Your little rabbit or your little mouse just steps off the wheel. So it's no longer on that wheel. Right? And then you get swept up by another karmic wheel because we've got lots of them going on. But so yeah, the Uranus is, it's in fixed Earth at the moment. And Scorpio holds a lot of energy. Okay. So this new moon, there may be, I think, one of two things as a potential, which could be earthquake or / tsunami energy involved in this, right? Because as there's a release, and there will be a release, especially look towards the quarter moon, the full moon, And then the third quarter, look at these sort of points along this, this phase, this lunar phase. There will be a release of energy. And sometimes when there's a release of energy and we've got that Taurus, that full moon in Taurus coming up in fixed earth, that release of energy could cause the fixed earth pressure to build, and all of a sudden like a volcano, an earthquake, or an underwater earthquake or volcano, which causes tsunami. Not saying that that's what's going to happen and you have to be afraid. Do not fear. Okay. But these are things to just look out for over this month and see, what's going on. Also too, we're dealing with finance and wealth and money and possessions. So look to the markets and what's going on, right? You got the fake fiat, phony, fraud money called, Australian US dollars, backed by nothing, created out of thin air, just, absolutely not hinged to any sort of system of value at all. In fact, a very corrupt, controlled, centralized system of control on our money and finance. There's that theme of control and power over money and wealth and finance. Do we see a little bit of a crack in that? And is that a bit of a story that's going to unfold more in 2022? I think so. Some sort of transition, some sort of inflation, deflation, collapse, some sort of financial sort of, challenge coming. Yeah. Do we get a little bit of a hint of that this month? Maybe. You've got the crypto scene, you've got gold, you've got the property market, you've got all these financial sort of sectors of reality. And at the moment, they're all doing what? They're all at these bubbles, these peak points. They're all having their all-time highs. Is that sustainable? Does that continue? Does something shift? Does news come about? Is there something that's, Scorpio, dark to light, that's going to come, that's going to cause a shift in that? Again, it's not about being an alarmist and frightening you. It's about awareness and being prepared. And this ability is to be flexible. Scorpio is about relying on your inner resources. Taurus is about relying on your outer resources, right? Your skills and things like that. The Scorpio is like, I will survive. At first I was afraid, I was petrified, I will survive. It's the ability to survive. So preparedness is one thing. Awareness and preparedness is something that, this month might give you ability to sort of have a bit of a snapshot. Shit, am I really prepared for a collapse or a massive inflation? Am I prepared financially? Am I overhedged in debt? Now's a really good time, if you're really extremely in debt, to maybe look at ways in which you can change, so that you minimize your exposure to potential upheaval in financial, property, markets in general. Again, I'm not a financial advisor, but if I look at the financial markets and I look at astrology, like, they're all sort of saying a similar thing. The theme is there, and we can probably know that ourselves. So preparedness, awareness and preparedness is the key to this sort of period of time. Saturn, there's a square from Saturn, and Saturn is over here, and it's the government, and it's the, you've got to do the right thing, and we're all in this together, follow the rules, and I feel like this lunation is a real big challenge to that for a lot of people. Uranus has this ability to sort of create the change that's needed to release a little bit of that Saturn authority and that control. Uranus is the anti-authoritarian, right? Is the rebellion more freedom and liberal and more individualistic? Saturn is more of the status quo, and you've got to follow the rules, and we're all in this together. So there's this challenge, but I see this Scorpio Uranus energy is probably a bit more powerful than the Saturn through this process. Mars over the next few days is going to move into a square with Saturn. And again, when Mars is squaring Saturn, Mars is go and Saturn stop, and there's this square, there's this tension. So what do? So something has to give, right? If you keep doing things the same way and getting the same results, it's like, well, what do I do to need to make a change? Sometimes yielding, sometimes stopping, sometimes letting go, sometimes just saying, well, that's cool, I'll go this way, right? Again, use the analogy of the captain at sea navigating, and then confronted with either an iceberg or a storm or something that comes along that blocks the way. Well, if you run head onto it with the same energy and the same passion, guess what? There's a collision. So maybe it's a way this month to learn how to navigate, navigate the system. Since the beginning of this bullshit plan demon ick, I've been navigating the system, not following the rules, not following what you're supposed to do, but navigating it. Remember that show in the 80s as a kid? I used to love it. It was called The Flight of the Navigator, right? Like, take control of your ship and navigate. Don't keep bashing into the fucking iceberg. And it might feel a little bit like that, but if it does, and you're really getting resistance, then steer a different direction or put the brakes on and pull back a little bit. Make the change. Scorpio season is all about transformation, transmutation, alchemical process, change, as that's the thing. That's the death and the rebirth, right? So surrender into that process. Saturn's, approaching this sort of sextile with Chiron. So there's an opportunity in here for some decent healing as well, if you're willing to make the change. Let's bring it forward a little bit and just not go through the entire month, but at least maybe bring us up to the full moon, which is on the 19th of November. So we'll sort of go day by day, but as you can see here, you've got Mercury and Venus right at the end of their signs. And if I go forward a day, we've got Venus moving into Capricorn, right? Well, Capricorn is a serious sign about control and authority, and Venus is love and values. So it's time right now, as we move on after this on Saturday, to start taking a serious look at your love life, your relationships to what? Well, to money, to possessions, to wealth. Venus rules over our Taurus area here. And taking a serious look at that. What do I value here? What's best for me? What do I value? Having a really serious look at that. And Venus is also ruling Libra, your relationships, right? So your relationships, you're going to get this Venus. Normally, it's only a quick, swift move of Venus through a sign. We're going to get Venus in Capricorn because she's going to retrograde this year. We're going to get Venus in Capricorn right up through till March next year, right? So there is no escaping the cold reality, the Capricorn reality of your relationships. In fact, if you have been avoiding the reality of your relationships, then this is where that is going to be unavoidable, especially, and I'll do more on this in future videos, but especially when Venus retrogrades right on top of Pluto, the planet of death and rebirth, transformation, often through crisis. The same sort of theme, Pluto, we can apply to Scorpio. So we've got Venus making her ingress on Saturday into Capricorn. And at the same time, just slightly after on the same day, Mercury makes its ingress into Scorpio. And you know what it might be time to do? It might be time to have the hard conversation. The one that you've been avoiding, letting the truth out. Always tell people that the Scorpio, Pluto, Mars, sort of dynamic is about the truth. It's the deepest, darkest truth. The truth of how you feel, that truth. And it's not just a passing flint of excitement or arousal or lust. It's the truth of how you feel that doesn't go away, no matter how you distract yourself or try to avoid it. It's still there, where you move house and there it's still there. Or you go on a holiday and you come back and there it is again, and you can't avoid it. So you might drink or you distract yourself or whatever. And no matter what you do and you wake up the next day, there it is again. That's the truth. When you align to that truth, when you have the courage, right, and the vulnerability to align to that truth and allow that truth to guide your words and your actions, that truth's connected to your authentic self. And albeit there may be a lot of destruction and chaos and change and death and rebirth associated to that truth, it's all for your highest good. It's for your highest good. You cannot repress that truth. Shall you repress that truth in your relationships, that deep, dark truth, that real, that feeling that is unavoidable and doesn't go away, should you try to hide from that and repress it, all it will do is cause drama, manipulation. It'll cause potential violence within your relationships. The other person will respond unconsciously to that truth, and you can't avoid it. So as Venus moves into Capricorn, and she's going to spend months in Capricorn, it's like the reality of the relationship is there to be resolved. If at the core of it, there's an unmistakable connection of just deepest love and soul and beauty, and we can get through anything, but I need you to know this, then you allow that truth out, your relationship transforms, and you end up closer. You end up with a beautiful, more deeper connection, and you pass through a real difficult phase, but you're better for it. If at the core, there's a disconnect, there's a disalignment of your core values, there's not anymore a deep love and desire for the person, or vice versa, then you allow and you honor that truth, and it comes up, and the process of transformation takes place, and you end up with an ending to the relationship. But guess what? It's best for both. Because no matter how hard you try, no matter how much you do try to avoid that truth, it's you. It's part of your authentic you. It's okay. You're not a failure. There's nothing wrong with you. It's just, that's who you are. Align to that truth. Align to that authentic you, that deep feeling that won't go away. Align to it. I guarantee at the time it's frightening as fuck. But afterwards you look back and go, why didn't I do that sooner? For both people. And if you're in a relationship and you allow that truth to light, and the person responds negatively, then make peace with that and allow them to respond however they see fit, whatever their level of consciousness is, their past, experiences and their pain and their healing that they're yet to do. Allow them to respond from that place. Don't judge them. Don't need them to be any different. Just accept it. Accept it. With love and compassion, accept it. That's where they're at. It's important, though, for you to align to you, to your authenticity. This is a beautiful month to really getting connected with that, especially with, this Venus in ingress into Capricorn, and then Mercury into Scorpio. That's the difficult conversation. That's Mercury, the communicator, the intellect, the thought process, into Scorpio. Okay, it's time to talk about that. Yeah. The thing you've been avoiding, it's time to have that conversation. So that's straight off the bat. Boom. It wasn't enough that we have this new moon opposite Uranus, sudden change, upheaval, like what the hell? I suspect that I'm going to be busy for the next couple of months based on this Venus in Capricorn and this new moon. And the full moon. I think I'm going to be real busy, because what I do is I specialize in relationship astrology pretty much, because of my experience, my personal experience, but also, I know what it's like to be in those places. So I know what it's like to have an awakening and a transformation through a relationship, and the ending of one and the birth of new ones. So I suspect I'm going to be real busy with people like, what do I do and how do I do this? And I'm not going to be the one to give you the advice. Your chart's going to reflect the truth of the matter. That's the beauty of astrology. There's no prejudice there. It's just, that's what's happening for you. It's like breaking down the little parts of self into a place that you can sort of bring them to light. And it allows you to see and know and to be reassured by you that you're on the right path and they're doing the right thing. So reach out if you're struggling, and it might not necessarily be an intimate relationship, although that probably will be the theme. It might be a deep friendship or a family connection, or even a work situation, someone that there's a deep bond connection with. And it may be a relationship to something as well. It could be a relationship to your job, could be a relationship to your community. So there's a lot of transformation. But when you connect to the authentic you, the deep you, the true you can't go wrong. You can't go wrong. That's you. That's you at the core. That's you at the core. that's where true freedom comes. When you can be you at the core and allow the process of change to happen, you feel free and liberated. I can tell you from my experience as an astrologer, about my personal experience in my life, you just have to face and confront that that's the truth of the matter. It will set you free. Yeah. Let's go on. I've got some notes, but fuck the notes. This is a long video, by the way. So, you know, by the time we get to Monday, we've got Mars starting to creep up into this square, this tight square now with Saturn. So like I said before, you know, something's got to give there, about making the adjustments. It's definitely, you know, your motivation is going to be definitely challenged by some level of authority, whether it's the external authority we're all facing at the moment with this corrupt, dysfunctional, pathetic political, governmental media system. I'm sorry if you're in that, but it's dying. You don't know it yet if you are, and you're up there and you're a puppet and whatever, but that system is dying. It's no good re-electing someone or signing a petition and going, yes, we got a different law and a new candidate. The system is fucked. It's a dead, dying system. Wait till we get to 2023 in Australia. That's going to be really interesting for us in our political system, the government system. And, you know, no matter what, it's not about a Band-Aid fixed. It's about the death and rebirth of this system, the collapse, and out of that, out of the ashes, the new system that's going to come through. What is that going to look like? I don't know. More on that as we move through 2022, 2023. But it's a pathetic, pathetic system. It's like an abusive, you know, stepfather that you finally wake up and go, what the fuck am I putting up with this for? What am I putting up? You know, you sort of mature and maybe you gain a bit of muscle and you get, or it's like Neo in the end of the Matrix when they like Mr. Smith and he just goes, puts his hand up, says, no more. So I did that a while ago, and it's about navigating, but it'll continue to happen on a larger scale. So we might be personally, you know, collectively, that's where we're going to feel this square from Mars and Saturn. Personally, it may be someone within your life that holds authority over you, a boss, a partner, a family member, a father, you know, so something like that, where, you know, if there is love in that relationship, or there is blood in that relationship, it's like, be the bigger person, you know, make the change. I've had this in my own personal life, and yes, I didn't do the right thing and reacted and wasn't the bigger person, you know, but I needed to sort of play that out to realize that, okay, yes, I've got to be the bigger person. So maybe be the bigger person is the Mars. So that's Monday. Let's have a look here. Tuesday, it's heating up. Wednesday, well, Wednesday is an interesting day because you've got the conjunction of Mercury, Mars in square to Saturn. So just, you know, for some people, Wednesday, Thursday, it can be, just watch your words, because your tongue's going to be that Scorpio, like, you know, with Mars, Mercury, it's like in Scorpio, it's like that wicked, just can really cause a lot of destruction with your tongue and what comes off it. So just be mindful of that. And if you're copying it the other way, it's like, you know, like I've done that video before, it's about baseballs of shit being thrown at you. It's like, learn to duck and weave and don't let them hit you. Because if they do, it'll hurt, because these are no longer baseballs covered in shit around that time. They're actually daggers being thrown at you. So, you know, just do the Matrix. Get the fuck out of the way. So yeah, and then Mars square Saturn, you know, like, so that's Wednesday, Thursday in particular. There it is, 7 degrees Scorpio, Mercury, Mars, 7 degrees Aquarius, Saturn, Moon triggering Saturn on that day as well. So Thursday is the peak day for that, and that brings the Moon into its first quarter square as well. So that's going to be real, like, build up to that point. With the first quarter square, first quarter Moon, you know, it's that square. So again, the square provides an opportunity for change. It creates tension, which drives change. It creates challenge, but it's about making the change, and how you overcome that challenge is by changing, right? So we're in Scorpio season. We've got this first quarter square moon. Make the change around that 11th of November. I'm probably forgetting things because my notes now are no longer making sense, because I'm just making it up as I go along. But well, not making it up, but reading the chart live. Let me just come back here. Yeah. If you're at home and you're watching this up to this point and you notice things that please feel free to leave a comment and just be like, hey, what about that? And I'll be like, oh yeah, that's a good point. And we can discuss it in the comment section. So we move into Friday week, right? So we're in Friday today, Friday week. We've got the sun starting to make this aspect to Neptune, as Mercury is moving into an opposition with Uranus. I reckon that there could be a lot of manipulation of the truth around this point. There could be some things that are coming to light, and I think there could be a lot of manipulation, and there could be a lot of deception involved in this period of time, which is next weekend. So just watch out for that. With the way in which stories are spun, things might come to light, and there might be a shift or an event that sort of distracts people and takes their awareness away. On a personal note, it's getting into really good time to meditate. Friday, Saturday, Sunday next week, as Mercury is going to be opposite Uranus. So there's this connection from higher and lower minds, and the sun making a trine to Neptune, which is imagination. So a lot of downloads and a lot of insight, creative energies really flowing, dreams probably going quite wild. We've got Scorpio with intensity. So the volume of intensity is turned up, and you've got this retrograde Neptune in Pisces, the sign of the dreams. So the dreams landscape over the next weekend is probably going to be like people going, like, I have this dream about this. So that's cool. Document your dreams. Dream is the way your subconscious will try to connect, or you connect to your subconscious. Either way, doesn't matter. And dreams are symbolic, right? Because the subconscious deals in symbols, where the rational conscious mind deals in language and letters and words and those types of things. Our subconscious is dealing in symbols. So when we connect in our dream landscape, we're connecting with our subconscious. So it's symbolic information. So you have to learn how to understand the symbolism of a dream, what it means. There's lots of dream journals, online, and also in books, dream dictionaries, excuse me, that you can sort of look up to sort of get a bit of an understanding of what those will be. What I want to bring you through to is, so there it is on Sunday with Mercury in opposition to Uranus. So sudden news coming to light, right? Sudden information coming to light, things that are really quite challenging, I would say. And there's the moon passing over Neptune on that same time as well. So it's a little bit of, okay, things coming to light, but not knowing whether they're true or not, and how to discern, is this real or isn't real, right? So again, when that happens and you don't know and you're confused, hold your heart and trust your gut, and just go, you know what, this is it. If it's too much, or it's too overwhelming, or you just can't make sense of it, maybe it's because it stimulated some emotional hurt and pain, and it's about just dropping down into your heart in that case and just going, wow, is this true? And asking from that place, and trusting, learning how to trust in the process, right? With Scorpio season, it's about deep trust in the process of transformation. And it can get really dark outside, but it's about being able to trust that that's part of the process. Often the darkness comes to light for it to be exposed so that we can transform and make the changes. So when it does, it's not about losing control. It's about trusting that this is necessary. It's a necessary part of the process. So that's going to be the theme for next weekend, I would say, amongst others I've already said, but learn just to trust, right? And that beautiful saying that this too shall pass, this too shall pass, this too shall pass. I want to wrap this video up shortly. As I move there, we have Thursday week. So not Thursday next week, the 18th. So the 18th is Mars in opposition to Uranus, with the moon triggering it on that day, followed by the 19th, which is the Taurus full moon. So, which leads us into, Thursday, Friday of 2 weeks from now. Mars Uranus opposition, still the square to Saturn as well. It's like, it's like everything's changing, and it's like, it's like fighting and war and chaos, and just, wow, it's this process of in awareness and revelation, and things shifting quickly and suddenly, and like, what the hell happened? And if you're on the path, this is a fantastic time. This is what they call the popcorn moment, where you just like get the popcorn out and like stand back and just go, oh wow, what the fuck's going on? Now, if your own personal life, you're going through this and you're not able to navigate the transformational process, you know, like when the swimmer's out in this ocean and like drowning in it, you just raise your fucking hand and out they come to rescue you. So you have to be able to realize, if you're in your own life and you're really struggling because there's so much shit going on, put up your hand, reach out. You can do that via my social media. You can do it on this YouTube channel. You can connect with me. I have a website. You can book in for a session, whatever, but don't drown. Okay. Don't drown. Don't just keep thinking, I can do it, and really just start going backwards or being pulled out in that even further. Put your fucking hand up and ask for help. But for a lot of people, this is like this has to happen. If we look at 2020 and 2021 and what the fuck is going on, and where everyone's like consciousness is at, and where their choices and their values and like that system and everything, and how chaotic it is, and like when's it going to change? Like these are the type of astrological energies that create the type of change where it's like, oh my God, wow, whoa, hang on. And it's happening, people are speaking out. They're bringing the death to light. Right. And not only the death, but the health issues that are happening as a result. We're supposed to we're supposed to have things that improve lifestyle, ways of being, living, but this is not that at all. In fact, it's quite the opposite. So let's just come back here to the full vision of Luke. Like my little Scorpio. Yeah, fucking so cool, aren't I? I've become the expert at Canva and Zoom. So big month. Whew, big video. Thanks for watching till the end. If you did, make sure you hit the like button. That's cool because it fills my ego cup. I'm like, yay, another like. And engage, interact. Call me out. Tell me if there's something I missed or a different perspective. Give me a bit of an idea and insight what's happening in your own personal life. What sort of shit that's going on in your life. People are telling me stuff all the time, and I'm just like, fuck, man, that's hard. That's heavy stuff. It's heavy stuff. But, when you've got heavy stuff, you can put it all on your shoulders and you can carry it, and it can weigh you down, and you can just really be down and like the weight of the world on your shoulders. Or you can just say, can you help me carry this load? Can you help me carry this load? Right. And just reach out and allow a little bit of help. There's a beautiful song. And in it, the lyrics, it's like, it's all about helping a brother carry the load, and then there's also the Holly song, he ain't heavy, he's my brother, or sister. So, if you're struggling with the intensity and the heaviness of this, get a little help to carry the load. I get by a little help from my friends. Ooh, I get by a little help from my friends. So I'll leave you on that note. Peace. See you guys soon. Thanks for watching.